Every time you ask an AI chatbot a simple question or tell an image generator to make a picture of a cat riding a skateboard, you are actually pulling the trigger on this violently competitive multi-billion-dollar heavy metal hardware war.
Yeah, and it is entirely invisible to the user, like by design. We want to believe our digital lives are ethereal, just, math floating in a weightless cloud.
Right, but the physical reality is incredibly brutal right now. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here for this one.
Today, our mission is to make sense of a stack of raw tech insider notes that prove this invisible war is happening right beneath our feet. We are looking at confidential analyst briefings focusing on the explosive behind-the-scenes shifts in AI infrastructure.
And it fundamentally changes how you look at the tech industry.
It really does. I mean, we hear constantly about the software side, the new models, the crazy startup valuations.
But these notes focus strictly on the hardware backbone.
Exactly. They detail almost unfathomable infrastructure spending by Amazon, the massive market volatility that spending is triggering, and most importantly, a looming high-stakes storage war.
Right, a massive clash between two hardware giants, Micron and SanDisk.
And it all centers around a cryptic new technology called Stargate. So grab a seat, because we're going deep into the plumbing of the AI boom. Okay, let's unpack this.
It's a lot to cover.
It is. So before we get into the Stargate technology itself, we need to follow the money. The analyst notes make it very clear that Amazon is the financial engine driving this entire landscape shift.
Right. The sources explicitly highlight Amazon's AI infrastructure spending. And to understand the technological leaps being made, you first have to grasp the sheer scale of this spending.
Which is astronomical.
Completely.
Yeah.
When a company with Amazon's footprint decides to pivot and build out physical artificial intelligence infrastructure at a global scale, it isn't just an internal budget adjustment. It acts as a massive gravitational pull on the global hardware supply chain.
Wow.
And according to the analysts, that singular appetite is what's directly causing severe market volatility.
Wait, I need to push back on that right away. Because if a giant like Amazon is suddenly throwing billions of dollars at hardware suppliers, shouldn't that mean guaranteed, record-breaking profits and stability for those companies?
You totally think so.
Right. I mean, why are the analysts calling it volatility? If you're selling shovels and a giant shows up with a blank check, you should be thrilled, not panicking.
Well, in the world of high-tech manufacturing, a sudden massive injection of capital from one dominant player actually creates a shock to the system. It creates a vacuum.
Oh, vacuum. How so?
When Amazon places an order for hundreds of thousands of specialized next-generation storage drives, the component suppliers have to shift their entire fabrication lines to meet that one order.
Because Amazon is the biggest customer in the room and they just get priority.
Exactly. So what happens to the other cloud providers or the enterprise companies or the server farms who just need their regular shipments? Their lead times suddenly jump from 3 months to 18 months.
Oh, wow. 18 months.
Yeah.
The supply chain just strains to the breaking point.
Yeah, and those competitors start panic buying from other vendors. They start hoarding raw materials and double ordering components just to secure their own futures.
Just trying to survive the vacuum.
Right, and then prices fluctuate wildly based on rumors of who secured a contract and who got left behind. That bullwhip effect across the entire tech sector is the volatility these analysts are warning about.
Okay, so sticking with the shovel analogy, it's not just that Amazon is buying all the shovels for an AI gold rush, it's that they are essentially buying out the factories that make the raw steel for the shovels, which leaves everyone else fighting over scraps.
That's a much closer way to look at it, yes. But to truly understand why this is causing such a specific supply chain crisis, you have to look at how different AI is from traditional cloud computing.
Right, because Amazon has been the king of the regular cloud for over a decade.
Right.
Most of the internet runs on their servers.
Yeah.
Why is this AI infrastructure suddenly requiring entirely new, specialized shovels that are breaking the market?
Well, traditional cloud computing like hosting a company's website or storing your personal photo backups is relatively static. A server sits in a rack, a user requests a web page, the server sends a tiny packet of data, and then it goes back to waiting.
So it's low-intensity work. The hardware isn't breaking the sweat.
Exactly. But AI infrastructure, specifically the training phase for these massive language models, requires a fundamentally different architecture. You aren't just storing data to be retrieved occasionally.
You're using it all the time.
Right. You are actively feeding petabytes of data like millions of books, images, videos, and articles into highly advanced processors continuously 24 hours a day for months at a time.
So you are basically forcing the machine to read every single book in the library simultaneously over and over again without stopping.
Precisely. And from a physics standpoint, that means the hardware is running at absolute maximum thermal capacity. If you tried to run an AI training workload on standard traditional cloud servers, the racks would literally melt.
They'd just melt down.
The heat generation is completely unmanageable. So you need highly specialized AI processors, immense power distribution networks, exotic liquid cooling systems, and crucially, an entirely different caliber of storage architecture to hold and move that massive tsunami of data.
Which logically leads us to the exact technology they are fighting over. When we follow that immense river of Amazon money to the specific hardware they are hoarding, the insider notes point directly to advanced storage.
We do.
Specifically, high-density flash storage.
What's fascinating here is that the tech world spends 99% of its time obsessing over the processors. You know, the GPUs, the brains of the AI. We completely ignore the storage.
Yeah, storage doesn't sound as cool.
Exactly. But high-density flash is truly the unsung hero and the critical choke point of the entire AI boom.
Why is it the choke point? Because if I have a multi-million-dollar AI processor, shouldn't that be doing all the heavy lifting?
A multi-million-dollar processor is completely useless if it doesn't have data to process. It is incredibly fast, but it is entirely dependent on how quickly you can feed it information.
Oh, so if the drive is slow, the processor just waits.
Right. If the storage drive can't serve up the data at the exact microsecond the processor demands it, the GPU just sits there idle. And an idle GPU in a massive data center is burning tens of thousands of dollars an hour in electricity and lost compute time.
Which is a massive waste.
Huge waste. The analyst notes emphasize high-density flash because it is currently the only technology that can move data simultaneously at the unprecedented speeds these GPUs require.
I understand the speed aspect. I mean, we all know flash memory is fast. But the analysts in these notes keep hammering on the word density.
Right, high-density flash.
Why is physical density the absolute make-or-break factor? If Amazon has infinite money, why not just build a bigger data center in the desert and fill it with millions of regular fast flash drives?
Yeah.
Why do they need them to be ultra-dense?
Because in a data center, you are constantly fighting the laws of physics, specifically the speed of light. Data traveling across a copper wire or even a fiber optic cable takes time.
But it's measured in nanoseconds, right?
It's measured in nanoseconds, but it adds up. If your data center is a sprawling million-square-foot facility and your processor has to pull data from a storage rack that is 3 football fields away, the physical distance creates latency.
So even if the storage drive itself is fast, the commute time for the data ruins the whole operation.
Exactly. When an AI model is doing trillions of calculations per second, those nanosecond delays compound. A microsecond of latency over billions of training cycles can extend a training run from 3 months to 6 months.
Wow, and that's unacceptable for these companies.
Totally unacceptable. So the only solution is to physically pack the data closer to the processors.
I think I get it. So if standard storage is like a massive, sprawling, flat suburban parking lot, you can fit thousands of cars, but it takes 10 minutes just to walk from your parking spot to the store.
Yeah, that's a great visualization.
High-density flash is like taking all those cars and packing them into a fully automated, ultra-compact, 60-story skyscraper garage right next door to the store.
That illustrates the physical constraint perfectly. High-density flash allows you to shrink the physical footprint of the data by an order of magnitude. It stacks the memory cells vertically on a microscopic level.
That saves a ton of space.
It saves critical floor space. It drastically reduces the cooling requirements because there is physically less surface area to cool. And most importantly, it practically eliminates the travel time. The data is right next to the processor.
So that physical compactness is the core technical advantage Amazon is pouring billions of dollars into.
Exactly right.
Okay, so we have to build microscopic data skyscrapers to keep the commute time short. But if you solve the space problem by building a 60-story automated parking garage, you instantly create a completely new physics problem, which is traffic.
Whoa, absolutely.
If millions of cars, or in this case, packets of data, are trying to enter and exit that single garage at the exact same millisecond, you can't just have a guy in a toll booth raising and lowering a wooden gate.
No, you would have a catastrophic system-wide traffic jam. The density actually makes the management of the data exponentially harder.
You would need an incredibly smart, relentlessly fast traffic controller. And that brings us to the actual weapon at the center of this hardware war.
This is where it gets really cutthroat.
Yeah, the insider notes specifically identify a technology called Stargate, which is owned by SanDisk.
And this is where the dynamic between SanDisk and Micron gets highly competitive.
The sources refer to Stargate as an ASIC controller technology. Now, before we get into why it's threatening Micron, we need to understand the mechanism. What exactly is an ASIC controller, and how does it actually manage the traffic in our skyscraper garage?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to realize that raw storage, even the most expensive high-density flash on the market, is essentially dumb. It's just inert silicon capacity.
It doesn't know what to do with itself.
It doesn't know how to organize itself at all. It requires a controller chip to read the data, write it, manage wear leveling so the drive doesn't degrade, and ensure that massive streams of data don't collide and corrupt each other.
So the controller is the actual brain of the hard drive itself.
Yes, and ASIC stands for Application-Specific Integrated Circuit. This is crucial. A normal processor, like the one in your laptop, is a generalist.
Like a jack of all trades.
Exactly. It can run a web browser, play a video game, and do some math. But because it can do everything, it isn't perfectly optimized for any single task. It has to constantly switch contexts.
Right.
An ASIC, on the other hand, is a piece of silicon where the microscopic wiring is physically hard-coded to do one extremely specific job and nothing else. It doesn't have an operating system. It is pure, unadulterated logic baked into the metal.
So a storage ASIC doesn't know how to run a web browser, but it knows how to route data faster than anything else on the planet.
Exactly. And according to the analyst briefings, SanDisk's Stargate ASIC is a monumental leap forward in how this routing happens.
So.
It doesn't just react to data requests, it uses predictive caching. It analyzes the workload of the AI processor in real time, anticipates what data the GPU will ask for next, and prefetches it from the deep storage cells, placing it in a high-speed staging area before the GPU even sends the request.
Wait, really? It prefetches the data?
Yeah. Furthermore, it utilizes direct memory access, completely bypassing the server's main CPU, so there is absolutely no middleman slowing down the transaction.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because if the high-density flash is the raw muscle of the operation, the sheer brute strength holding all the weight of the data, is the Stargate ASIC essentially the central nervous system?
That is exactly how it functions. Muscle's useless if the nerve impulses take too long to arrive.
Right. If the nervous system is slow, the muscle twitches, it misfires, and the whole system stutters.
Exactly. Stargate is an ultra-low latency nervous system designed specifically for the extreme demands of AI infrastructure.
And what about that name? Stargate.
Mm.
I mean, we know tech hardware companies love to be dramatic with their naming conventions, but a name like that implies something specific.
It definitely sounds like science fiction.
Are we talking about routing data so efficiently and bypassing so many traditional bottlenecks that it essentially creates a portal-like illusion for the GPU?
Well, while it obviously isn't bending the laws of physics, from the perspective of the AI processor, it certainly looks like a portal. The tightest choke point in an AI data center is the moment a processor has to pause its calculations to wait for a storage drive to find a file.
And Stargate fixes that.
With an ASIC like Stargate employing predictive caching and direct memory access, that wait time drops to near zero. The GPU reaches for the data and it is instantaneously there, flawlessly managed.
That is wild.
And if SanDisk truly owns the most advanced nervous system for the most critical muscle in the tech industry right now, you can immediately see why the financial analysts are raising red flags about their competitors.
Which brings us directly to the fallout. Because every major leap in infrastructure creates a winner and a loser. If SanDisk holds the ultimate ASIC controller for high-density AI storage, the entire ecosystem is going to forcefully shift in their direction.
Oh, absolutely.
And the sources are very explicit about who is caught in the blast radius here.
The notes are unambiguous. SanDisk's Stargate is a direct existential threat to Micron's market share in the AI space.
And Micron is not some small startup. I mean, they are one of the historic titans of the global memory and storage market. They supply hardware for everything from smartphones to enterprise servers.
They are a massive player. Micron and SanDisk have been engaged in a brutal, decade-long rivalry over standard storage markets. But AI infrastructure is an entirely new paradigm.
So Stargate just changes the rules entirely.
Based on the technical mechanics we just walked through, Stargate positions SanDisk to completely monopolize that staggering Amazon infrastructure spend.
If Amazon's engineers look at the data and decide that Stargate's predictive caching is mandatory to keep their billion-dollar server farms from sitting idle, Micron is suddenly locked out of the biggest hardware expansion in a generation.
That is the fear, yes.
So what does this all mean for Micron on a practical level? Are we looking at a situation where Micron is suddenly navigating with a paper map while SanDisk has a GPS?
Well, a paper map implies you can still reach your destination eventually. In this context, it's actually much starker. It's more like Micron is trying to move a literal mountain of data using a massive fleet of pickup trucks on a dirt road.
Yikes. It works, but it's slow,
Yep.
inefficient, and creates constant traffic jams.
Exactly. SanDisk, with Stargate, just rolled up and built a pressurized, high-speed magnetic pipeline directly from the mountain into the factory. The market isn't going to wait for the pickup trucks.
Okay, that makes the mechanical disparity incredibly clear. But I want you to hypothesize for a second to really ground this reality for the listener.
Sure.
The analyst notes mention that they are closely watching for potential upcoming market catalysts regarding this rivalry. What exactly does a catalyst look like in the real world of hardware procurement?
Yeah.
Are we waiting for Amazon to hold a press conference and announce an exclusive partnership?
In the enterprise hardware world, catalysts are rarely flashy press conferences. They are highly technical milestones. The first major catalyst would be something called vendor qualification.
Vendor qualification, like a test.
Yeah, when a company like Amazon builds a new data center, they don't just buy drives off the shelf. They force the suppliers to submit their hardware for months of grueling, extreme stress testing. They try to literally break the drives with heat, constant read and write cycles, and power fluctuations.
Because they need to prove the hardware won't fail when the real AI workload hits it.
Exactly. If industry rumors start leaking that Amazon has officially qualified SanDisk's Stargate drives for their next-generation architecture, but Micron's equivalent drives failed the qualification or are still stuck in testing, that is a massive, immediate market catalyst.
So the market reacts instantly.
The stock market will instantly react, punishing Micron's valuation and rewarding SanDisk long before a single drive is even shipped or a public announcement is made.
Because the writing is on the wall for the next 3 years of procurement.
Right. And the second type of catalyst would be found deep in their quarterly earnings reports. Hardware manufacturing requires massive upfront capital.
Right.
If Micron believes they are going to win Amazon's business, they are currently running their factories at full capacity, stockpiling high-density flash.
Just getting ready for the massive order.
Yep. If they lose that contract because of Stargate, they will have to report what's known as bloated inventory on their next earnings call. That means they have warehouses stacked to the ceiling with highly specialized, expensive storage drives that nobody wants to buy. That inventory write-down would be undeniable, catastrophic proof of their vulnerability. That is the exact friction causing the market volatility the analysts are warning about.
It is truly staggering how a microscopic, hard-coded chip, a single ASIC controller, can dictate the fate of multi-billion-dollar legacy companies. Let's synthesize this entire journey.
It's a lot to take in, for sure.
We started by looking at a mountain of Amazon cache, an infrastructure spend so massive it is physically distorting the global hardware supply chain. We followed that money down into the physical architecture of data centers, discovering that packing data into microscopic, high-density flash skyscrapers is the only physical way to keep these AI models fed without melting the servers.
Right. We then explored how you manage the insane traffic in those skyscrapers.
Exactly. We unpacked SanDisk's secret weapon, the Stargate ASIC, acting as a predictive, ultra-fast central nervous system bypassing traditional bottlenecks.
This is the traffic cop.
And finally, we revealed exactly how this one technological leap is putting a massive target on Micron's back, threatening to strand them with warehouses full of obsolete technology while SanDisk dominates the AI gold rush.
This raises an important question, something we should really reflect on. We are so accustomed to viewing market volatility as just abstract numbers, tickers flashing red and green on a financial news network.
Right, it's easy to just dismiss it as Wall Street noise.
But when you understand the raw physical engineering we just discussed, you realize that volatility isn't arbitrary noise. It is the actual tangible friction of cutthroat innovation happening in real time. It is the sound of supply chains buckling under the weight of a new technological era.
Yeah.
It is chaotic, yes, but it is deeply, ruthlessly logical when you understand the hardware.
It is ruthlessly logical. And it brings us right back to where we started today. You and I are constantly bombarded with news about AI software. Every single day, your feed is full of a new chatbot feature, a new generative video model, or debates about the ethics of artificial intelligence.
It's everywhere.
But these confidential insider notes prove that the true war for the future of AI isn't happening on a screen, in a clean white text box. It is happening in the physical plumbing of the world. It's happening in power grids, in cooling systems, and inside microscopic silicon architectures.
Couldn't agree more.
If a single specialized controller technology like Stargate has the power to threaten a legacy titan like Micron and can entirely command the infinite wallets of companies like Amazon, it leaves you wondering, are we all paying attention to the wrong AI billionaires?
That's the real question, isn't it?
Maybe the people who actually control the future aren't the software developers designing the ethereal ghosts, but the hardware engineers forging the heavy metal chains that bind those ghosts to the real world. Think about that the next time you ask a chatbot a question. Until next time.